Hi, Facebook. I have heard from a couple of you this week who call these my Hi Facebook videos or my car talk videos. So I guess they're both, because I am certainly back in my car. I'm sitting in a snow squall at the moment, although you can't see out my windows. Gathering that we may be getting some wintry mix over the next couple days. So as usual, please stay safe on the roads and let our fabulous people who do road maintenance work get out there and do their jobs and try to stay off when it's treacherous. As we gear up towards session coming soon, the meetings and the topics are coming thick and fast. And so I've covered a range of different kinds of meetings this week. And so I just want to give you a quick update on some of them. Had a couple of really interesting meetings with local boards of education, focusing on special education funding and confirming actually really constructive meetings. I mean, everybody would love to have more resources available for special education funding. So that's always a press. But these meetings in particular have focused on the really practical concerns of how to just even out the budgeting for special education and to help schools who have to form, their budgets at a certain point, how to give them some stability when students are moving from school to school that can really upend a school's special education budget and the administrators who are trying really hard to do what they need to do for the kids in their care. So those were interesting meetings, and I hope we can work towards some solutions that can help that process. I also went to earlier this week, the Connecticut League of Conservation Voters had its annual big conference, which has become quite a big deal, packed with people and information. And I can't possibly tell you all the topics that were covered there, but I'm gonna give one opportunity and one challenge. I'll start with the challenge. We have a lot of the towns in Northwest Connecticut use MIRA, which stands for Materials Innovation and Recycling Authority, which is a sort of quasi-public institution that was formed in order to move away from landfilling. And there is a challenge there right now because the burn facility in Hartford that we use is in desperate need of major investment, and costs for towns are going to go way up. And so there's a real challenge there. And it was good to hear from the commissioner, the DEEP commissioner, Katie Dykes, who was at this conference, saying that the governor, they look at this as an opportunity to, think holistically about how we're dealing with recycling and solid waste management. Because I've also heard from the towns in the area about the costs that are implicated in with this coming crisis. And so we're going to have to be pretty serious about forming new methodologies, including anaerobic digesters. I'll spare you with some details about this messy subject, but there are ideas out there, and there are areas that we need to take seriously and be innovative and invest in order to help address this issue. So the positive thing we heard from a lot of people who were, there are little ways for us to fight climate issues by doing things like, planting more trees in your community. Communities that have trees can reduce, urban hotspots. They, contributed positively to the community. They contribute positively to the environment, and they can really help make a difference. So plant a tree, join a local land trust, help them build a path in one of their land trusts, plant a pollinator garden, support locally grown food. There are all kinds of ways, positive ways, that we can be involved and try to fight some of the challenges that are ahead of us. So that was a positive thing. Just a little while ago today, I went to a meeting at Primetime House in Torrington, I attended their community meeting, and we discussed all manner of issues from public transportation, which is, of course, a desperate need in the Northwest corner, clean slate legislation, which I believe I talked about, we looked at in judiciary last term, which essentially is trying to address the challenges of formerly incarcerated people trying to re-enter the community and rebuild their lives, and whether there's something the state can do to look at people who have had certain kinds of felony convictions and how we could, consider erasing certain kinds of felony convictions so that people can restart their lives and contribute, support their families, have housing, have jobs, contribute to public safety and the economy in a meaningful way. And that was certainly something that was of importance to that community. We also talked about affordable housing, which affects all kinds of communities here. So I just wanted to quickly touch on that because I've heard questions from a variety of people in our towns about affordable housing recently. And so I have discussed how, a lot of the funding for affordable housing in our towns tends to be done in sort of public-private partnership, which is a priority of the governors right now. And that in a lot of our communities, there's perhaps a local nonprofit that raises some money. They work in tandem with the local government, which first of all gets public support for the project, pursues whatever zoning needs or public referendum that need to be done in order to support the project structurally. And then that sort of coalition of local government and maybe private nonprofits that have committed monies to the project then approach the state in order to get some sort of matching bond funding from the state. And we have several towns have proposals that are pretty much ready to go, pending in front of the state, waiting to get some bonding from the governor, which I have been advocating for and supporting. So that's generally the way we go about doing it. So I had a couple people approach me about how to go about doing that, and I'm happy to put any of you who are interested in working in that in touch with local nonprofits, either in your community or in other communities that are doing really great work. It is hard. It's a long commitment, but it's so worthwhile, and it's been one of the most rewarding things for me is to go and visit some of the affordable housing in our communities that has really enriched the community. So that's a really positive thing, but we're looking forward to hoping to get some bonding to help support some efforts on that front. I also just wanted to note it's a long weekend coming up, including a couple of holidays. Of course, it's Martin Luther King Day. I hope you have my kids have always often, rather than having the day off, have often had Martin Luther King inspired events of various kinds, and I've always enjoyed getting those materials and sort of touching base again with the incredible legacy that he left us. This weekend, of course, is also the anniversary of the Women's March from several years ago, and there are two. The major march, if you want to participate in it, in our region, is in Kent. At noon, starting at Golden Falcon Field, but I think there is also a gathering in Salisbury at the White Hart Green at 10 o'clock on Saturday. So maybe I'll see you at one of those two places. And have a great, safe weekend. Bye.